KFI AM 640 is Happy Monday here on Later with Mo Kelly. We're live on YouTube, iHeartRadio app, I guess Facebook. They don't tell me anymore. I just say we're live everywhere and just leave it at that. Assume we are live on your social media page somewhere. I'm in a pretty good mood today. Not a bad start to the Monday. It's not great news, but it's not bad news. Got a note today from the PR agency representing Eddie Murphy. Said that we're still in the running. To all of you saw the email I forwarded to you.
I did indeed.
So it's not a direct yes, but it's absolutely not a no.
It's actually you are still in consideration, and when something becomes available, an opportunity, we will let you know. So that's very promising.
And if you know anything about the business, behind the scenes, all press requests have to be run by the talent, especially when you're talking about someone the level of Eddie Murphy. He's not going to speak to anyone he doesn't want to speak to. If he doesn't want to speak to Extra, if he doesn't want to speak to Yahoo News, if he doesn't want to speak to Entertainment Tonight or E, it won't happen. It's just that simple. So it's going to be up to him. And I know that Amazon Prime has been taking a look at us because they're not going to consider us otherwise. I always say it's easier to say no. It is, trust me, it is easier in this business to just say no and get people out of their hair and not give them false hope. So that's just been my experience. Because a couple people had asked me online, it's like, so what's up with Eddie Murphy? You know, look, it's out of our control. You know, when I know something, you know something. So I got an email today from the PR agency handling the press for The Pickup, which is his new movie, which is coming out August 6th on Amazon Prime.
You know, what's interesting is when I was trying to get Eddie Murphy on for the last Beverly Hills Cop, Netflix was actually very quick with their no. They were like, thank you.
Yes.
Thank you for your request. We are sorry. Unfortunately, at this time, we are not doing any media. That's what we were told. We saw him doing some media, but still, it was television. It wasn't radio, so we had to kind of take that, like, all right, cool.
It's hard. It's hard when you're a radio outlet trying to get movie and television personalities. I don't think people realize the amount of work which goes into it to build those relationships so they will take you seriously. Because I know it's not sexy when you say AM radio to a movie and television star. It's not. Now, there's a video component. There's social media. There's obviously the iHeartRadio app, which enhances it. But at the same time, not everyone is savvy about AM, its reach, the reach of this particular station, and also how it has moved into the 21st century in ways that other media has not.
Mm-hmm.
So that is the update. We were told that we're still in the running and they'll reach back out to us. I mean, the bad news is kind of like, don't call us, we'll call you. But we have your number and we are still looking at you. So, try to keep it positive. And I know they're listening right now. So,
yeah, man.
Oh, and also, we're going to talk about how California has launched this new weather tracking system to rank the severity of extreme heat. You know how we had like smog alerts back in the day? I guess it's something like that. We'll tell you about that. And it stands to be a very, very hot summer. So you definitely want to take note of that. And I have my own personal Waymo story I'm going to tell you about today. And the only reason I didn't actually tape it was because I was driving, and that would have been worse for me to get to an accident while trying to film a Waymo. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm trying to be safe, but I have a firsthand story about a Waymo which did something very dangerous and almost caused a major accident in Inglewood. And also Waymo was caught up in a shooting. Someone got shot in a Waymo. I'm not going to blame that on Waymo. I'm just saying it seems like wherever Waymo goes, trouble follows.
Okay, easy.
And did you hear Volkswagen has unveiled its Robotaxi designed to challenge Waymo right here in LA? And so within the next year, we'll have more competition in the Robotaxi autonomous vehicle market. And we were talking earlier, or I should say, I was just mentioning earlier about this new weather tracking system to rank the severity of the heat. And I mentioned smog alerts. I wonder where California ranks right now among the states for lung health. Because I remember, Mark, you weren't living here. First, good evening. Mark, you weren't living here in California back in the late 1970s, I don't think.
No, I wasn't.
It was so bad. You would just see this brown haze hovering over downtown. And you would play in the summers like this, go outside and play, and your chest would start hurting just from breathing in the smog all day.
Well, I was a small kid here in the years before that, kind of like, I guess it would be the early 70s. And I remember having like wheezing, gasping fits, and we couldn't figure out what was wrong with me.
Absolutely. California had some of the worst air quality back in the late 1970s. And I wonder now, many years later, whether it's had a long-term impact. I've never smoked, so I at least had that going for me. But I always wondered about the long-term implications of that bad air quality we had here in Southern California. So we're going to tell you about the top states for lung health, according to a new study. We have Beyond the Box Score with Jackie Reyes is going to join us with an Olympic story and a professional football story, which you might be interested in. And we got our horoscopes. You know, it's Monday. We have to tell you about your horoscope for the week. It's one of our most popular segments. I never thought that would be the case, but it's true. And it's all because of Twala. Blame him. He was the one who started. Weren't you the one? I wasn't going to do horoscope.
No, you weren't, but I told
twist
you.
my arm.
I told you, let's do it. Let's try it. I think that people will respond.
And for those who don't know, last week we did not a short segment, but we had some fun talking about the Croft All-Stars, Sid and Marty Croft All-Stars, playing some of the themes and everything. Hey, we got a nice follow from Sid Croft today on social media.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
True
That's
story.
pretty cool.
True story. So, you never know who's listening. You never know. And speaking of you never know who's listening, saw this story today, Twala. I don't know if you saw it. 5 times that Tom Cruise deserved to win an Oscar, according to the story. I'm seeing more and more stories about Tom Cruise being actively considered for an acting Oscar. I don't think it's my imagination.
No. And as you said the other day, you need to take more than no credit on this.
Not all the credit, but more than zero.
Yes.
Did you see Mark Ronner smirking like he doesn't want to give us our due credit?
Mark, you
come on,
know
man.
for a fact
Come on,
that
man.
anything having to do with the news and Tom Cruise being considered for an Oscar started here, good sir.
Oh, no. Well, first of all, I appreciate you trying to start something with me like this. And my heart goes out to Cruz, who's been so neglected. He sorely needs this.
He has
He
been.
does.
Yeah.
He has been
Yeah,
neglected.
that poor guy.
He deserves more consideration.
Who will give Tom Cruise the love he deserves? Who?
This show.
Yeah.
Live everywhere on social media. I got to tell you, seeing what we're doing now with air quality here in California really takes me back to when I was a kid, because I thought it was normal how bad our air quality was. I just took it as I had no reference point. And if you grew up here in LA, if you were old enough to remember what it used to be like, then you knew it was really, really bad. And also, it seems like, and correct me if I'm wrong, 12, it seems like it's also getting hotter. It's getting hotter year by year. And I'm not making a climate change argument. I'll leave that to Mark Ronner. But it just feels like it's getting hotter. I like messing with Mark.
It is
It ain't
getting
me.
hotter.
It's the scientists.
No,
Don't blame me.
It's definitely getting hotter. The darkened brown, orange, beautiful sunset skies that we used to have, that was probably protecting us from the harsh rays of the sun, because the sun rays weren't getting through that grayish fog that used to sit over the city and make you feel like you've been swimming in a pool of straight chlorine all day. Now we're getting all this sun because our protective layer has been worn out in California.
I thought the ozone was fixed. What happened to the ozone?
There's no machine up there fixing it.
Well,
How does that happen?
The ozone has healed. That's a separate issue from climate change.
Okay, see, I can't keep it all straight.
The
I need you to
ozone has
educate me.
healed, but it still has deep scars, Mark.
I see.
Scar tissue now?
Yes.
Ozone scarring. This is the first I've heard of this, but thank you.
Well, I think we all can agree, irrespective of the reasons, that it's hotter now than in years past. And although we don't have hurricanes, although we may not have tornadoes, people can die in the heat. It can be very, very dangerous, especially if you might be among the elderly. And I'm almost there, so I have to pay more attention to that. But the state, California, has launched a tool to help people like you and me better prepare for the dangerous heat. Beyond just looking at our phones and seeing what the temperature is. We have to pay closer attention to the heat index. And the California Community's Extreme Heat Scoring System, otherwise called Cal Heat Score, is going to be a public health tool that ranks your community's heat conditions every day on a scale from 0 to 4. The higher the number, the higher the risk. It sounds like it would be pretty simple. Score 0 is considered low. 1 is mild. 2 is moderate. 3 is high. And 4 is considered severe. And the Cal Heat Score is meant to be a system easy for anyone like me and you to understand, and it's going to have a hyperlocal approach. It's going to give you the heat risk down to every zip code as opposed to just like a general temperature over a larger area. And it'll also give you some historical data to compare it to and in other information to protect you. This also gives you information as far as nearby cooling centers and other available resources to better plan for extreme heat. You can access Cal Heat Score through their website, and they're also working on an app to give people time to real-time notifications on their cell phones. And this is something that I also think about. I worry about the heat index, not just because of me, but also worry about it for my dogs. And when I'm trying to take them out for a walk, I may think that I'm fine, but then it's like, well, 95 to me might be 105 to them. It's not like they have sweat glands. And obviously, they have a fur coat to a certain degree. So I try to be mindful that this could be important to not just me, but pets as well.
When you're walking your dogs, and I know a lot of people do this, and at first it was like a big joke, but here in California, because our sidewalks and the asphalt is so extremely hot, have you and Lamu here invested in dog shoes?
We did try dog shoes at one point because the pads for the dogs, they can be very tender. They're supposed to toughen up over years, but they can still get sliced open. And so Benson, one of our schnauzers, for some reason, he had a problem where he kept getting sliced open. So we tried to buy him some dog shoes, and he would keep shaking off because he didn't like anything on his paws. But yes, we're very conscious. Like my wife just finished taking the dogs for a walk after the day's heat. What is it like? It's 7:25 right now, so it's in a good
cooling
part of the
down.
evening. Yeah, it's cooling down. Like I try to take my dogs for a walk on normal days, not summer days, but normal days around 2:00. If it's not 80, 85 degrees, 2:00 is usually a good time to do it. It's right before I leave going to the office, and so they get some exercise and then they get to lay down. But if it's over 80 degrees, I wait. And my wife usually takes them for a walk when she gets home from work because we're conscious of the heat.
Do they both have that? Do they both have that issue with the pads?
No, only Benson.
I wonder why.
Don't know. Don't know. Yes, because my wife, when she was taking tennis lessons, they would go to the court with her, and for some reason he would always kick a rock or something and get his paw sliced up, and so he was limping around. So we would buy him these doggy booties, so he could walk around. He would almost like hop step.
He hated them.
Oh, he hated them. He hated them.
You could tell.
Yeah,
because they're doing a awkward prance because they just want to get him off.
Right, but he didn't want to walk around without him because his paw was tender. And the reason I talk about this, the heat is not just about you. I remember when I was 25, it's like, oh, it's 110. So what? So what? No, you can get heat exhaustion, heat stroke quicker than you might imagine. And also, and I had to learn this the hard way when I was in college, drinking in the sun is not a good idea.
Ooh,
not a good idea. And you may think, well, it's the 4th of July, for example. It's the 4th of July. Why don't we go out there and have a brew or two or 8 and you're in the sun?
Oof.
Your day will end very quickly.
Yep.
Well, a beer is not going to kill you, but if you go heavy on like the hard liquor, you're going to get dehydrated fast.
Well, but not only that, I'm saying if you're going to do it in the sun, you are opening yourself up to
the problem, Mark, with that a beer isn't going to kill you is no one just has a beer.
What?
There is no such thing as all have a drink.
Especially on a day like the 4th.
Yes, no one just says, oh, just give me one. They start with the one, and then it's good, and it's tasty, and it's cold. And you know what? 4 or 5 later in the sun, and it's...
and all of a sudden, your ass is done at 3:00.
Well, also,
headache
I'm
start.
concerned about homeless people in this heat as well because they don't have any respite from it. Go ahead.
No, I'm saying I was going to agree with you absolutely, and they don't have access to the information of where or the ability to get to cooling centers.
The cooling centers. Yeah, we talk about them all the time, but it's like lots of times those who are most impacted by the heat, like the unhoused, they're not listening to KFI.
No. So we all have to be mindful, not just of ourselves, but also people around us. There may be someone, a neighbor in your community who is elderly, and you have to check on that person as well. Make sure that they are okay, that they have adequate water, and they are taken care of. These are the things we need to think about in advance. And also, we made mention of July 4th. We're going to have our 5th annual Chateau Les Mots live broadcast on the 4th of July. It's going to run the full time of the show from 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. Yes, we'll have some sort of broadcast or Instagram live. I don't know how the tech is going to work out, but you'll be able to see the whole show like you get to see the whole show here. And if you don't know, we have an annual bake-off competition, which you'll be able to get to see live this year.
Oh, snap.
Yeah, they'll get to see it live where we have guests offer their best dessert offering.
Oh, it's dessert. It's not people getting baked.
No, well,
Wow.
I'm quite sure.
I'm not sure I'm going to show up now.
It's not mutually exclusive. There may
Okay.
be some baking.
Okay.
Not by me. I'm just saying, because that's what people do in Southern California.
Just seeking clarification. Please proceed.
Yes. It's a dessert competition, and my sister won last year because she had like an angel cake, but inside of it was of an American flag. As you cut into it, you got to see American flag. It was pretty amazing how she did it. I don't even know how she did it. But we'll have a baking competition. Tawala Sharp is the odds-on favorite to win this year.
You know what? Unfortunately, I do not have a kitchen in which to bake.
Tawala Sharp is no longer the odds-on favorite to win this year.
Yep.
I will be joining.
Wait.
Uh-oh.
Wait. You're going to join the dessert competition?
Yes, I am.
Wow.
Oh, snap.
Do you want to tell us now what you will be baking?
Well, right now I'm thinking about a ooey gooey cake. Has anybody ever had one?
Yes, but I don't know
Sounds
what
familiar.
the ingredients consist of.
Okay, well, it's just very sweet and it's soft and it's good and it's buttery. So I can't wait.
Now
Sounds
you
good
do
to me.
know that there's a presentation aspect.
Yes.
You have to sell it.
Yes.
Oh,
I'm going to be practicing.
Okay.
Okay. It's a lot of ish talk. I mean, they come in, it's almost like a game of dominoes or spades when you're throwing down. If you come up with a weak pitch, you might get booed. Your dish may not get tasted. I kid you not.
Yeah.
I have seen some people
It's a tough
come in with
crowd.
a weak pitch and their dish went untouched.
What?
Yes.
Yeah.
And they will look at you like, I ain't eating that.
Don't take
Yeah.
it personally. I'm
Yeah.
just letting you know.
Don't come
Okay,
in,
see,
don't,
that's
don't
why
come
I'm
in with your
practicing.
feelings.
Yeah, there's some real there's one person, Mike Downs, who's won it twice. He has a baking business on the side.
So I'm up against some
Professionals. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just letting you know that. Just be ready.
And do you have that trophy again?
Yes, we will. We'll have all of
A
that.
trophy.
Yeah, the trophy.
That thing is legit.
No, it's
Yeah.
legit. It's a full on baking competition. It's a full on show from 7 to 10, and yeah, come join us next Friday. Well, I mean, you can listen. You can't.
I was about to say, don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do
Don't
that.
show up at the door and get your feelings hurt. Okay, I'm not even trying to let Mark in. All right.
I'll be broadcasting the address shortly.
See, the thing is, I believe him. He's twisted like that.
Everybody show up. You'll be welcome, and there'll be plenty to eat and drink for everybody.
In the way that Tawala always gives out my social media, Mark would mess
Is that
around and give
at
out my
Mr.
real
Mo Kelly?
address.
Yes.
But now more than ever, we need to give it out at Mr. Mo Kelly
Yeah,
on
yeah,
all
yeah.
platforms
Oh,
so
yeah.
you can tune in and watch us live.
I like how you think.
Yes.
It's later with Mo Kelly. We have a Waymo update. We have a Volkswagen Robotaxi introduction, and I have a Waymo personal anecdote. That's all next. Couple of stories with Waymo. I want to start with my personal anecdote. I was driving yesterday. I was driving down Prairie. It's going southbound on Prairie, and there is a left turn turning onto Century right across the street from Intuit Dome. They have this single left lane, which is really dumb by an arena. You need to have a double left turn lane. People are piling into that left turn lane, that single lane, and then you have the people in the next lane over trying to dive in because there's not enough room for all the cars who want to turn left. Going south on Prairie. There was a Waymo in that first lane, which is going straight, which would have been a second turn lane. And it was seemingly driving straight. And then at the last second, put on its blinker. I'm directly next to it. And I guess they call it the number 2 lane. Everyone is turning left onto Century Boulevard, eastbound Century Boulevard from Prairie. And then the Waymo said, F it. I can't get in the left turn lane. I'll just go ahead and mirror the left turn lane as if there was a secondary left turn lane and turn parallel to all the other cars. People started honking. I went through the intersection. I couldn't pull out my phone to start recording it. That would have been kind of, contradictory to do something really dangerous, talking about a Waymo doing something dangerous. I know someone had to gotten some video of it. It was so egregious. It was so dangerous.
Oh my God. The level
People could have
of
died.
extras you're putting on this, it's ridiculous.
It was illegal.
We already said that Waymos are adopting more human-like driver practices, which is literally what I saw today as I was legally in the left turn hand lane on Devonshire to go to, what is it, Sepulveda, so I could get down onto the freeway.
I know
and a car literally zoomed around all of us and just straight. No, hell no. It was a driver in a Denali. Just zoomed right around all of us and sped all into traffic. And everyone is like beep. We're all like, what the hell is your problem?
Bad human behavior is not a plus.
And the driver didn't even get anywhere. So I'm like, hey, guess what Waymo's doing? Waymo's like, you know what? F it. If this is how you humans are going to drive, well, let my AI catch up to you all and just join in the fun.
And that's good?
Right.
You're rooting for that?
All I know is I saw a car literally go through a red light. And here's the thing. It paused. It paused. It's like there's not enough time to get to get through the yellow. So it got to the line.
The limit line.
At the yellow, and then said, F it, zoomed right on through the intersection after it turned red. Like, what was that about?
Okay.
I mean, are we stopping people from driving? No, we're not. So then we're not.
Actually, we are. If there was a cop, yes.
No, if.
Right.
It
doesn't mean it's legal.
If my aunt was a man, it'd be my uncle. All I'm saying is that doesn't
that can be
matter.
arranged today.
That doesn't matter. All I'm saying is you're bringing up nonsensical things to bring up this ridiculous case against Waymo.
No, your original argument was that Waymo was safer than human drivers.
No, it still is. Because did the Waymo get into an accident?
No, it's just because someone was driving 85.
I don't want to hear
it was
about
dangerous and reckless.
I don't want to hear about could it.
It was dangerous and reckless.
Oh, it's the old did they die argument?
Right.
Oh,
yeah, it is. That's exactly what it was.
Did they? No one died.
All I'm saying is I saw firsthand.
And who are you? So you're the one that's busy trying to call the police on someone with their phone out.
Look, I've already. I pulled up my phone.
Officer, I am witnessing someone texting while driving. Officer, I don't like it.
I would have done it. You know what? And I had a mind to record it, and then all
you would have been is a rat.
No, say all the focus would have been on me. What are you doing, filming a dangerous incident by exhibiting dangerous behavior?
What? Then don't do it. Now you're here. You're here. You're here safe.
In other Waymo news, 2 people were shot in a Waymo. I'm not going to blame Waymo, but a human driver would have gotten away. I'm just saying. 2 juveniles were injured after Waymo was shot at multiple times in Santa Monica Sunday night. Hey, I wonder if they were drinking outside.
Ooh, wow.
What is that, like a triple word score if they were?
I'm just wondering, because Santa Monica Police Department said they received the call around 11:30 p.m. about a shooting near 2nd and Broadway. That's the zone.
Yeah, that's the zone.
When officers arrived, they found 2 people who had been struck by gunfire. The individuals were taken to a hospital, and their conditions remain unknown. A spokesman for Waymo said a rider was shot while the car was stopped at the intersection.
Someone, you know what that sounds like? Someone who left the drinking zone, buzzed, saw Waymo like, move out of my way, you filthy Waymo, and took a shot at it.
Look, all I'm saying is I don't believe it's a coincidence that it happened specifically in that location. That's all I'm saying. And Volkswagen has unveiled a Robotaxi designed to compete with Uber, specifically here in Los Angeles. Stefan, the first 500 will be delivered this year. Next year, Stefan. Volkswagen is one of the last from its industry to still harbor ambitions, as the story goes, in the fledgling market for autonomous ride-hailing McKinsey, and their estimates could grow as much as $500 billion over the next 10 years. Stefan, you might be out of a job.
It's kind of pushing me up against the wall. I can tell that much.
And VW aims to be a supplier and leave the actual business of managing the fleets to others, such as Uber. So this is what they're going to do to specifically replace human drivers under the banner of Uber.
We can stop all this. I want everybody to go home and watch a movie called Colossus, The Forbin Project tonight, and realize that the time to stop our robot overlords from taking over is before they take over.
Mark, no one's going to go home and download Tubi tonight so they can watch your movie.
Nobody is.
You can mock me all you want, but just wait till we're all like
you
on
said
the...
you said I can mock you all I want?
But it won't make any difference because we're all going to be enslaved to Ultron.
Maybe. But you know what? Ultron did pick some people.
You did?
Oh, what, and you're hedging your bets then?
You never know, Mark.
Okay, all right.
Someone's has to be around after the pop.
Bebop.
Yeah.
You sexy robot.
I'm just going to stay right there with I can mock Mark as much as I want.
Well, you can try.
Oh, now you have a caveat.
Well, I mean, the
I
fact
got
that
modifiers.
the fact that I'm right about this might be a minor speed bump for you.
I don't know if you're actually right about this. I don't know. There's so much AI in what we use on a day-to-day basis that you obviously approve of or don't necessarily know of. I mean, if you turned on any type of GPS in the past 5 or 6 years, that's definitely AI.
I lived without it before. I can live without it again.
Oh,
I don't
but you're
need
not
it. I don't
presently
want it.
living without it. That means you're living with it.
Well, there are all sorts of insidious ways AI is inflicted on us. I don't want them. If I could...
Throw your phone away.
No, I need the phone.
And that's how it begins.
But I don't have the new one with the AI built into it. There are apps. But I mean, it's like saying, you know, if you don't like X, leave the country or something. There are some things that are just so much part of society now that to function, you've got to deal with them in your life and resist them where you can.
Mark, you know that all of your apps will pretty soon in short order become outdated and unusable because all phones right now, all phones are switching over to AI programming. That's
Total.
That's a fact. That's a fact.
Yes, correcto.
So I'm just saying.
Unless you go back to like a flip phone.
I mean,
Right.
you're gonna have to. You're gonna have to go after. You're gonna have to have a
Wall
just
phone.
a phone, no smartphone. It just dials and,
Touch tone.
and maybe sends a text. I don't know.
Just a pair of tin cans and a string. Listen, the bill's going to come due for all this AI stuff. And you guys are going
You
to
did
wish...
not just quote Dr.
did.
Strange.
You are going to wish that you had listened to me.
The bill's gonna come.
I am never going to wish I'd listened to Mark Ronner. That is never going to come out of my mouth. Never, ever. And at the beginning of the show, I was talking about how growing up as a kid in Southern California, the air quality here was horrible. I remember going to Joseph Arnold Elementary School in Torrance, and we had smog alerts. There were days in which we were not allowed to go out on the playground because the smog and air quality were so bad. We just said, well, that's just Tuesday. You know, there's certain days it's almost like we were living in a post-apocalyptic world where, you know, there's nuclear fallout or something. Can't go outside today. Okay. But there were just days we could not go out and play on the playground, or we were kept indoors. We had to take recess indoors. And then you get older and you look back and realize that shouldn't have been normal. And they improved the air quality. But I remember thinking as a young adult, I wonder if there are going to be any long-term implications of breathing in all that smog. I was never a smoker, but if you're breathing in that smog for I don't know how many years, you could probably develop some lung issues. And then I came across this survey, and this new study ranks the best states in the nation for lung health, and it's citing lower smoking rates, cleaner air, and more favorable environmental conditions compared to the rest of the country. And this research was conducted by Opera Beds. I have no idea who they are. I'm just here for the ranking. And it analyzed a wide range of health and environmental data across all 50 states to determine where Americans are least likely to develop chronic respiratory issues, including COPD. The study looked at smoking prevalence, levels of air pollution, toxic chemical emissions, humidity levels, and historical data on COPD rates in both men and women. So here we go. The top 10 states for lung health. Number 10. New Jersey. They came in number 10. I have to work on my New Jersey accent. Number 9. Rhode Island checks in at number 9, top state for lung health. Number 8, Connecticut. And I still cannot spell that state, that or Massachusetts to this day. I always get it wrong. Always. Number 7. South Dakota. That sounds about right. But check out number 6. California comes in at number 6. I'm not ever going to get COPD or lung cancer, according to this. How do we beat out South Dakota? You would think the air would be better in South Dakota, right? Guess not.
We're above New
Well,
Jersey.
Yeah, well, that's true. Yeah.
We've been cleaning up. We've been cleaning up
I
out here.
guess so. Number 5. Nebraska. Number 4. Maryland. Yeah, I can see that. If you've ever been to Maryland, the amount of greenery all over that state, it's almost rural. You would think that it isn't, but it very much so is. Number 3. New Mexico. I can see that. I spent a little time there. My wife's from New Mexico. Number 2 of the top 10 states for lung health. I thought this state would have been number 1, Hawaii, but it's not. And coming in at number 1 of the top 10 states for lung health. Colorado.
Yeah.
With all that weed smoke.
Yeah.
Plus, it's the elevation.
That's true. That's
Yeah.
true.
Yeah.
I got very quickly the bottom 10 states for lung health. I won't do the drum roll, but they're pretty predictable. Coming in at number 10, working our way down, Kentucky. You may notice a pattern here. Number 9, Mississippi. Number 8, Louisiana. Anyone notice a pattern yet?
What to make of this?
Number 7, Tennessee. Number 6, Nevada. You know how much they smoke in Nevada?
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
I'm surprised it's not higher.
Number 5, Michigan.
Okay.
That kind of surprises me. Number 4, Pennsylvania. Number 3, Alaska. That tracks. Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah.
Number 2, Ohio.
Mhm.
And coming in at number 1, any guesses, Mark? Any guesses, Mark?
For the worst,
Yes.
it's got to be someplace in the South. Let's say Louisiana.
No, that was number 8.
Oh, sorry. I'm going to listen next show.
The worst state in the union for lung health, Indiana.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Really?
Really?
I believe it.
Yeah.
I lived there. I smelled it there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Wow.
So don't move to Indiana. for anything.
Ohio, in some parts of Pennsylvania. Yeah. Been-
Alaska kind of shocked me though, because it's just I figured it's so cold it would kind of keep the contamination down.
I have no idea. I think don't they smoke a lot in Alaska?
And aren't
I'm
there
being
enough,
serious.
aren't there factories like
Yeah.
oil refineries
that's-
and stuff like that? Like all
Yeah.
that
That would
pumping
make
into the
sense.
air?
If you can see Russia from your house, you've got to smoke just to deal with the stress.
Look, I should tell you about some of the interesting mail I got in my social media this week, and I tell you,
You
Folks-
mean at Mr. Mokelly?
yes, yes,
Okay.
I'll tell you about it later. Oh, by the way, Tuala has an admirer in the YouTube chat.
It sure does.
Oh, do tell. Who is this?
Lori C. I'm not going to give her last name.
Lori C.
Lori in Motown says Tuala's hot.
Well, thank you, Lori C. in Motown.
Mhm.
I appreciate the compliment. I truly do.
And in the words of Missy Elliott, Get your freak on. Get your freak on. Get your freak on.
She ain't say all that.
KFI AM 640 is later with Mo Kelly. We're live everywhere on social media. And let's go beyond the box score with our regular commentator, Jackie Ray, who joins us in studio. Good evening, Jackie.
Good evening.
I saw this story regarding former Olympian Lolo Jones. It made my blood boil. If you don't know, Lolo Jones, multi-Olympics, multi-sport, medaled athlete. She was suspended from using the training and sports medicine facilities at the U.S. Olympic and Paralympic Training Center in Lake Placid for the past 4 months because of a verbal confrontation with a sports medicine staff member after she was denied medical treatment at the center. That's important. She was denied, and then, make a long story short, she said to one of the top officials, John Faltis over there, "You are a horrible effing human being." Then she was put out, and they released a statement saying this conduct is unacceptable, and I want to make it clear that such behavior cannot be tolerated. They did a subsequent investigation and found that she should have not been denied treatment at the Olympic Training Center. They did not reinstate her and remove her suspension. For me, it's like, okay, so you basically admit that you were in the wrong training center. You also admit that you're not going to remove the suspension. So how could you be wrong and also keep the penalty in place? Obviously, she was righteous in her anger, was she not?
She was absolutely righteous. And I'm today, because had they taken that extra step, they might have seen instantly that they were in the wrong.
They could have done both. In other words, they could have shown grace during or grace after. Either or, it would have been better than this. If they would have shown grace during, as you point out, they probably could have rectified it on the spot. If they showed grace afterward, it could have been an apology, our mistake. Let's lift the suspension and move forward. But they couldn't do either.
Right. And the crazy thing is I love how they say, oh, she used, foul language. If she would have said you are a horrible human being and just left out the pleasant adjective, it's my favorite word in the English language. If she would have left that out, I feel like they still would have done this to her because she was probably irate when she said it. I don't feel like it's what she said. I think it's how she said it.
And it is probably all that. But then you have to wonder, if you're going to talk about the Hippocratic Oath and do no harm, well, there has to be some sort of caveat that also says, help when you can.
Right. And that's the thing. When you're talking about athletes and when you're talking, you have this center so athletes can really perform at their best and their highest level. And then when you find out, so there's two things that bother me about this. Number one, you found out you were just going to stay on this road, but you didn't even get both sides of the story. So their little whack investigation only asked one person, and that was the person she said, you're a horrible effing human being, or whatever she said. But they didn't ask the athletes around. The athletes around her said, this is terrible. This is way too far. This is retaliatory. This should not be happening. But their voices don't matter either. So even the athletes that are in this, that are not suspended or didn't get access, you have to wonder how they feel.
There's something else to this. There's also allegations of selective enforcement of this code of conduct. This past winter, a Team USA winter sport athlete screamed and cursed at a U.S. teammate at an international event, refusing to stop even after being warned by team officials and other teammates. This code of conduct is supposed to be all-encompassing. It's when you're in a training facility, when you're competing, all of those things. And if you're not going to enforce it all the time, then I really have to look at you sideways.
Even if the whole thing to me, I just see Kobe going soft. You soft. Like, what are we talking about? We're talking about words. We're not talking about people getting physical. We're talking about athletes. I don't know an athlete on the planet who's never cursed in their lifetime and been agitated about something, especially when they're competing at a high level. So this is asinine protocol to me. It's soft, and it gives them leeway to be selective in who they retaliate against. I think it's intentional.
I wonder if there's not a lawsuit coming, if only because the physical aspect of being in pain and being denied treatment, and then also being proven that you were wrongfully denied treatment. Lolo Jones, I think, is 41 or 42
Yeah, this is it for her.
Yeah, this is it. So this is the end of her career. And if you denied her rehabilitation, any type of treatment, which shortened her career or brought it on quicker, I could see a case there. I would be interested to see, and especially if you start digging up more instances of selective enforcement.
Right. And I'm wondering why they're not thinking about that, because that would have made me immediately reverse it. Because if you're doing you know you're in the wrong and you're saying, hey, you're admitting you're in the wrong. Publicly admitting and you're in the wrong, but still going to suspend. Like, there's no one in your league garner more sympathy, because you see a woman who knows she's at the end of her career and she's trying to go out with a bang, and you denied her the ability to do that. She's going to have instant public sympathy.
Someone else who's in the news when we come back, who I don't know deserves public sympathy.
Right.
Shedeur Sanders, the son of Deion Sanders, coach of Colorado. You followed him. We followed the family for quite some time. He originally was thought to be a first-round draft pick, a high first-round draft pick. Yeah. Long story short, Deion Sanders got in the way and basically bogarted and said certain teams were not going to be able to draft his son. He dropped to the 5th round. From
Eli's dad, but, didn't Eli say something similar?
Yeah, he said he was not going to play for the San Diego Chargers. Mm-hmm. But I say that to set this up, that Shedeur Sanders, there was a feeling, there's a question about his character. There's a question about whether he was mature enough to lead a franchise as a quarterback. He gets 2 speeding tickets in a week, 1 for driving 40 miles an hour over the limit. I want to talk about that with you when we come back.
Let's do it.
KFI AM 640, we're going Beyond the Box Score with Jackie Ray. We're live everywhere on social media and the iHeartRadio app. We like to talk about sports, but through the lens of just societal issues and things that we don't break down the box score. We break down the issues in sports and how they apply to us. Shedeur Sanders, very famous son of legendary football coach, Hall of Famer Deion Sanders, is now coming into the NFL with a lot of expectations. Mm-hmm. And I think maybe Shedeur Sanders fancies himself a little better than he is, but we'll see what happens on the field. I know that if you're going to play quarterback in the NFL, you are looked at as the face of the franchise, presumably. Mm-hmm. After every game, you are doing an interview, speaking on behalf of the team.
Right.
You have to carry a much larger load. And from that, higher expectations, higher maturity level demanded. Mm-hmm. And when I see that Shedeur Sanders got not 1, but 2 speeding tickets, 1 for going 91 in a 65 zone and 1 going 100 in a 101 in a 60, 2 days apart, that says to me that there may be some immaturity issues, which has been highlighted in recent weeks.
Yeah, I think it's more than immaturity, though, too. I think it's a level of entitlement. I think because who his father is and the expectation and the way that he talks, and he does see himself at a level that he has not reached yet. So the expectation is, in my opinion, is he feels like he can do these things. And if he does get pulled over, it's oh my God, you're Shedeur, and then it's over. I think he sees himself at a higher stature than what he actually is.
What scares me is life is going to happen.
It is going to happen.
And they're going to remind him that he's not, for a number of reasons.
Right.
One, because you're a 22-year-old black man with flaunting a lot of money.
Right.
That draws unnecessary attention to you, a lot of attention you may not want. And also, your contract is not guaranteed.
It's not. But again, so I'm going to tread lightly on this one, okay?
I get you.
Because if it was anybody else who had this opportunity, this is an opportunity of a lifetime. This is an opportunity that can change his life. This is not the situation for him. He gonna have money regardless.
He had money coming in already because of the NIL and family money.
Right. And so he's in a different place. I can tell you right now, if he gets dropped next week, he's gonna be somewhere on commentating some game. His career is not gonna end just because football doesn't work out. So he doesn't have the same, okay, let me hunker down, let me prove myself. He doesn't have that because he's never had to have that. So he's a little flippant with it. Now, the first ticket didn't bother me. I'm going to say that it didn't bother me. I'm a speed demon myself. Right. You know what I mean? So I just I don't get caught a lot. I know where they are, so it's different. The second ticket bothered me because once you get that first one, then it should be okay, I still have to prove myself. I still have to show the world that I am the leader because, like it or not, I do think that sometimes it's separate. Your life in football is different from your real life. However, it's not perceived that way. How you are perceived is in totality. So if you act crazy in the world, they're going to assume you're acting crazy in the locker room. And you have to know, look, whether y'all like it or not, Black people, we have to work twice as hard to get half the credit. He knows this because he's seen this. And this is America. We know we know what we're up against, and he has an obligation, in my opinion, to make sure that he's not only living up to certain standards,
But
he exceeds the standards, and he makes sure that black men coming up after him are not seen like, oh, I bet you he's just because now he's the standard that people can say, oh, if Shador will do it.
Let me put it in just my terms. I know whenever I walk into a room or whenever I open this mic here on KFI, either I will confirm or debunk stereotypes.
Right.
And people will look for that. And they will say, well, he is this or he's not that. Now, I don't mind someone 22 being 22. I don't want them to have the wisdom or sophistication of a 55-year-old man because I didn't have that when I was 22. I was a knucklehead, but I didn't have the same level of expectations or burden on my shoulders. I hope Deion Sanders can pull his son aside and say, look, you are representing more than just yourself.
Right.
And you are also expected to conduct yourself in a different way than everyone else. And it may not be fair, but it's a fact. You have to live up to those expectations. Shador Sanders, to me, as of yet, has not shown that he's ready to accept that level of responsibility from the way that he handled his time at the combine and how he handled his interviews to what he's doing right now. I always wish the best for young athletes, but I don't know that he's getting wise counsel.
And that's my concern because, you know, if you're not old enough to remember Deion when he came in the league, he was very showy as well. He was very over the top, but it was still a limit. He was great in interviews.
And he didn't get in any trouble.
He didn't get in any trouble. His teammates loved him. He was over the top, but in a way that was very acceptable, and it made him fun to watch. This isn't fun. So he has to learn, and I'm surprised that there's not a level of self-reflection because sometimes when we just sit back and watch ourselves, we can go, ooh, that was not the right thing.
Shador's not a generational talent. He's not his father.
Absolutely.
And he does not have the personality and affability of his father.
Do you think that maybe that's what we're seeing is him understanding that he's not his father, and that's messing with his mind in some way?
Maybe, but this is way too late in the game to have an adolescent crisis of you trying to figure it out or daddy issues. I'm just saying, if you want to be in the league, you're going to have to be a man in a man's league.
And what responsibility does Deion? Deion knows the game.
Yes, I know. And I think he has the ultimate responsibility as coach and father to make sure that his son is prepared to deal with not only the league, but to deal with the world. And, it's hard. I've never experienced it, but to be 22 and be worth 8 figures.
That's insane.
Yeah, it's insane, and I know that I would not have been mature enough for it. But this was the adventure that Deion and Shador have both chosen.
I think as a parent, I would know that that's way too much money for a child. So I think as a parent, I would want to set things up, have people around him. Sometimes the word from your parents is not the word you want to hear. So you have to make sure that there are other people in play that can help. And maybe he just doesn't have that. Or maybe Deion needs to circulate some people out of his circle.
We'll see. If there's another incident like this in the near term, then I'm going to start believing that he's just not mature enough for the NFL.
Oh, I wouldn't let this speeding. If I was Deion, I'm snatching his keys. You're going to get a driver's.
Yes, sometimes you have to protect people from themselves. But, I hope that he will put it this way. He will get a chance to prove himself on the field at some point. He may get cut by Cleveland. I'm being very serious.
Yeah, and that was going to be my next question. If he gets cut, do we all of a sudden see a different kid who now he has humbled? He hasn't been humbled yet.
He hasn't dealt with any real adversity. And I don't know if he's learned to take responsibility for that which he does. If people look at him a certain way because of his antics on or off the field, he has to own that.
Right.
And there's a larger message, I think, for young people and athletes in general beyond Shador Sanders. Like, look, I call this free wisdom. You don't need to make the same mistakes as someone else to be able to extract the wisdom from it.
100%. I wish him the best. I want to see him succeed, but I think his talent will eventually catch up. We just have to make sure that his personality is in check.
Good luck.
Your face.
You're talking about the son of Deion Sanders.
But Deion is such a humble being now.
He is, but I don't know that his son gets that maturation process of his own father.
Well, I mean, the kid's been on TV since he was little. You know what I mean? So it's like he's not lived real life yet. Let's just be honest.
And
That's not real life.
I don't think he's the star that his father was at any level of football.
You can't tell him that, though.
Let me tell you about FOPO, not to be confused with FOMO. FOMO, we all know, is fear of missing out. FOPO is something which is evolving because of this social media landscape we have, and it's fear of people's opinions. Interesting. For all the me-ness of social media, where we express our social medias at every turn, FOPO is now considered to be a dangerous psychological condition. Psychologist Michael Gervais came up with the FOPO concept, which he describes as a hidden epidemic. And people who suffer from it, quote, lose faith and confidence in themselves and their performance suffers, close quote. And FOPO is primarily an anticipatory mechanism that we use in a preemptive process to increase our acceptance in the eyes of others and for us to try to avoid rejection, close quote. Where would you find yourself in that? Stefan, do you think that you have a fear that you're willing to admit of other people's opinions? How do other people's opinions impact you, if at all?
Yeah, this is weird. I don't know where that would even fall under.
Right.
It makes no sense.
Mark Ronner, you seem to be very self-assured. You don't care too much about people's opinions.
I thought FOPO could have been so much worse than it wound up being. I was afraid of what you were going to say.
I tell you, these acronyms can be pretty tricky.
I mean, anybody who gets into any media job has to have thick skin. I used to work with a columnist in Seattle who, when she got hate mail, she would get so depressed. And I'd always ask her, why are you doing this then? It's guaranteed you're going to get that. You got to have thick skin. But, you know, if you're human, some things break through. Like if viewers all of a sudden started telling me how hideous I was and how I made them too nauseous to eat their dinner or something, I'd feel bad. I mean, we're all human.
See, for me, I process things differently. And I was getting into this argument with someone who was trying to insult me on my Instagram. And
At Mr. Mokelly.
yeah. Mm-hmm. And I came back at him and was like, look, you could have engaged me in debate, but you start off with an insult. And
Was that the one that you sent to us a couple
yeah.
days ago?
Correct.
Okay,
Correct.
yeah, keep going. This
I
is good.
remember
So he wanted to call me thin-skinned. It's like, no, that's not being thin-skinned. If you set up a stage for a certain type of interaction, I'm going to give you that in return. And I don't care about if people knew the type of hate that I get on a daily basis. It's not about fear of people's opinions. You know, that's what I signed up for. But there is something to be said for what you allowed to put up with.
And also, people need to remember, you're not an employee at a fast food window. You can respond in kind if people are rotten to you.
Right. And I think people forget that in a general sense. You think that because you know what my social media is, you can say anything and everything and I just have to take it. No. No. And nor do I take to heart, going back to the story about FOPO, about what people say, because whenever I speak publicly, I always have to remind people I am my biggest cheerleader at all times. And I recommend you be your biggest cheerleader at all times, because there's always someone who's going to tell you you're nothing. And you can't internalize that. As far as fear of other people's opinions, you can't be afraid of someone's opinions and be in media, to your point, Mark. Be it someone who's going to be a talk show host or a television anchor. There's always and especially with social media today, there is so much negativity. I was called the N-word like 3 times today on social media.
Just today.
Just today.
No,
Well,
yes,
what were you wearing? What'd you do to bring
I
this
know,
on?
right.
It's Monday.
But no, it's Monday. I'm just saying that's the world we live in. And you can't internalize it. I'm just being very honest with you. You can go to my threads. I mean, I put it up there because people want to say, like, the America I live in is just like theirs. No, your experiences, even though we may live physically in the same place, are not always the same. And the way people express their opinions is not always the same. On social media, people say a lot of stuff they would never say in person. That's why I don't internalize it, because there's something obviously wrong with you.
Well, and you can't internalize it because, especially since we have anonymity online, people just unleash their id and say things they would never, ever dare say to your face.
Never.
Through a character
Never.
profile.
Yeah.
Never. And I try to explain that, like I sent the messages to you. It's like, look, if you want to have a debate We can have a debate as men, and we can disagree and dislike each other's opinions, but walk away with a mutual level of respect. But when you come in hot with insults, there's nowhere for us to go.
Well, as far as your FOPO thing, and I can't say that and take it seriously, FOPO.
I know.
The irony is that people get into media or acting or news media or whatever, I think initially because they do crave a certain amount of attention. But as soon as you get into it, you realize you can't take anything seriously, whether it's hate or praise, because then it throws you off your focus.
Yeah, none of that. I put it all in the same bin. I'm appreciative of those who may say, hey, Mo, I really enjoy your show. Oh, thank you very much. That's very kind of you. I'm humbled. And I mean that. And they say, Mo, you're the worst thing ever. Oh, thank you very much. I appreciate that. Kiss my ass.
Thank you, drive through.
Yeah, look, I have a thing, and I talk about this with Tawala all the time. Just come at me as you would on the street.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're willing to say that to me on the street, God bless you. But don't say anything to me in social media because you think that you're entitled to, or that there are no consequences to it, or I won't respond because I'm the radio host and you're the listener. No, I'm a grown-ass man.
It's the same thing that Westworld, the newer HBO Westworld, tried to dramatize in a sci-fi setting, which is that we now have kind of permission to be our worst selves because of the anonymity. And it's really dragged society into a terrible place.
It's true. And I find that the worst purveyors of it is usually someone who they're usually cowards because they won't even say it with the real face. So obviously I know that there's something where you're insecure about something because you don't want anyone to know what you look like. You don't want it to come back on you in any way.
They'll leave it generic, like user 59, and
Right.
then there's no profile picture.
Yeah.
Yeah, none of that. Use your real identity, your real name, a photo. Post where you work. Everybody knows where we work.
Right.
Do we come to where you work and slap the rest of that joke?
No. But and what do I say all the time? It's like, look, I sign my name and I post my real picture to everything I do. Yes, I have a cartoon avatar, but if you click on the link, you know exactly what I look like. I'm not hiding from anyone, but I'm really big on having basic home training. Basic home training. And I'm proud of the fact that I respond to people more than anyone on this station. By
There
a
have been
mile.
a couple of times where we have explained to people that in real life, you'll be handled differently. There's a couple of people who tried to come crazy.
Yes, true.
And it got to the point where let us know where you are right now. There was one person who got to the point where he had to write back and say, hey, I'm sorry, but
I remember that person.
I am differently abled, or I am handicapped, man, and this, that, and the other, because he got his ass on his shoulders and thought he was going to talk crazy. And then he found out, which is why I'm not on social media, because it goes left real fast.
Right.
I don't do it anymore because I go left too quickly.
I do too. But I like
your
to
way is beautiful.
I like to get a punch in before I go.
Yeah, no, your way is beautiful. I go straight to the I will blank, 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 blank,
He'll
blank.
go to the trunk.
I immediately. I've never had that thing that you have where you're willing to go back and forth and tear people down emotionally. This is a different type of fight.
Look, I have a lot of rules. In other words, if how you start is how we'll finish. If you start with a greeting, we will finish with a greeting. If you start with a nice topic of discussion, we will finish with a topic of discussion. I'm very conscious of chronology. If your first note is an insult because you think that's going to get my attention, or you're going to put me in my place, well, then I'm just gonna tear you apart, in a verbal sense, and send you on your way, and then I'm going to block you because I didn't ask for you.
Yeah.
You came to me. So once I will give you what you give me. You will receive in return.
That makes perfect sense. And what's puzzling about the attacks that I hear and occasionally see on you is that it's not like you present yourself as Morton Downey Jr. It's out of character to come at you like that because you don't really put out a bunch of aggressive stuff in your persona on the air.
No, I try to have fact-based, spirited discussions. You may disagree with me, but I'm always going to show you my work. Always going to share with you my work. And some people, that's offensive to. Some people, they can't handle that. Some people can't handle that. I don't open up the phone so you can just give me a piece of your mind. Show me your lightning bolt. Reaction.
What do you suppose would happen if we just had constant open phones every night?
A lot of insults.
Uh-huh.
Nothing but
That's all.
insults.
That's all. And for people who don't know, that's just bad radio. It's just bad radio. I'm just being very transparent now. It's bad radio.
Trust, we used to have the phones open once upon a time, and every other time someone tried to drop in some N-bomb,
Yes.
some curse, some everything, not recognizing the delay. It was bad.
Why do you think we don't take talkbacks? Because people were just leaving all types of crazy stuff that they would never say in person.
An occasional Baba Booey.
That too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, those are the things. And so if a person is interested in genuine discussion, I'm your best friend. But if you're not, I'm not. And you're probably wondering what this week have in store for you. Well, let's find out. Aries, here's your tarot card for the week, the 10 of Cups. And I know nothing about tarot cards. Meaning romance. Are you Aries? Oh, you're Leo.
I just know the tarot cards. That's all.
Okay, the 10 of Cups. Is that good or bad?
That's pretty good.
Okay. Whatever your relationship status, you can make your realm and self feel more romantic, whimsical, imaginative, carefree, loving, and beloved. Ritual, self-care, pampering, nature, good food, and plenty of hydration, soppy films or music, flowers on the table. That's yours, Aries. Taurus, your tarot card for this week, Death, meaning transformation. A makeover, a spring clean, a glow up, a regime change, a new routine or schedule, a spruce and revamp of your space, a new task or alliance in work, a change of opinion or outlook. Notice what is fading or ebbing away or feels false in your realm and let it go, just like the Disney movie. Gemini, Mark,
Let's have it.
your tarot card is Six of Swords, meaning release.
Sounds dirty.
Gotta make it weird, don't you?
I'm not the one who initiated this. Don't blame the victim.
All Geminis are good at letting go of what's not serving them. It's a key trait of the sign, the ability to move on and not look back. Why do you hesitate now then? This thing you're sick of has been long time coming, and you felt bad about severing the tie or felt reluctant to lose your only pair of shoes, as they say. But it's time. It's the right time to do this. You are only blocking your own path ahead. You are only limiting your own energy. Walk away from what hurts or doesn't work. A new horizon will emerge.
So be ruthless. Cut people off.
Be you, Mark. Just be you.
Be Tawala.
No. Twala will cut you. You have to walk away.
I see.
Cancer, Stefan.
Let's go.
Your tarot card for the week is the Star. What is that? Carnisha? Is that good, bad, and different?
That is good.
Okay.
Yay.
It's your season and new moon, after all, so you get all the cosmic goodies. The Star is a beautiful card of wish fulfillment and dreams coming true. It's an invitation to make your most heartfelt passion or goal a reality, and it starts here. The universe will respond to your intent and overt steps and back you up with good fortune and unexpected opportunity. But it needs to see you get the ball rolling first. Make magic, Cancer. It's your time to shine.
Okay.
And this is Leo for Carnisha. Your tarot card for the week is Six of Cups. So that's not as good. It's kind of good, semi-good.
It's kind of good. It's
Okay.
all right.
All right. Meaning nostalgia. Revisit your childhood this week, literally or mentally, and replay the show reel, the happiest of times. Watch old movies. Play your records. Have a school disco. Reunite with besties. Get the photo album out. Call family. Daydream about your favorite times. Take a trip to an old haunt. Sometimes we get so much healing and insight from revisiting older versions of ourselves and remembering what we loved, liked, hated, and thrived on. Sometimes it's a nudge to reinvent something. At the very least, process something. Carnisha. Virgo, the tarot card for this week, the Devil. I assume that's negative. Virgo, let yourself go. Let yourself admit what is it you truly want or need, and just go for it. You set a lot of rules and boundaries and controls around your behavior and thinking, and sometimes that is a good thing. Makes you efficient, strong, protected, safe, but sometimes it thwarts your enjoyment of and ability to live a full life. We are here to experience everything. Let yourself admit to a temptation and maybe even succumb to it. Set new rules or enjoy smashing the old ones all together. Be a devil. There's a tie-in for once. Libra, your tarot card for the week is Eight of Cups. This card is a promise that something amazing is just around the corner. You can't see it coming yet, but trust that it is. And therefore, relax and enjoy where you're at. Don't chase anything or anyone. Don't force an issue. Don't cling on to a dream that hasn't worked out. Let it all go. Something way better is coming along, and you just need to be in an optimistic, relaxed frame of mind, ready to receive. Prepare to be amazed and delighted by what this week brings. Scorpio, Tuala,
Let's go.
you're the Knight of Wands. I don't know what that means. This card is like Indiana Jones setting out on a hair-raising escapade and winning all the trophies, romance, rewards, and accolades along the way. He doesn't have a master plan. He uses his wits and a heft dose of good luck. And this is your mode of attack this week. Jump in, say yes, do it. Whether it's travel, a big change, a holiday, a social event, a new course or project, a romance, a blossoming friendship. Invest in what makes your heart beat faster and give it your all.
Don't wave your wand at people in the office, Tuala.
Go on a wonderful adventure. Who knows where it could lead? Mark, I'm going to put you out.
Just doing my job.
I think Craig needs to give him a
Sagittarius.
timeout.
And did we say, like, let go, jump in, do all that kind of stuff? Don't hold back.
Am I supposed to cut you off now?
No, you can't.
Oh, okay.
Sagittarius, this is for me. The Tower. I am a very honest sign ruled by Jupiter and willing to say things that others would suppress. That is true. A bruising but necessary and useful dialogue will unlock truths I didn't see coming this week, but it's actually all a relief. I could sense an underlying tension or secrecy, and I hate that feeling of dread more than any event. Now I know what's what. Now I can react and rebuild and restore normality on my terms. Yes, it's all about me. So have those tough conversations. Get the truth. Feel good about having a firm foundation again. Okay, whatever. Capricorn, your card is the Hermit. Music to your ears, I bet, as you are not keen on having your social battery drained nor having to be on show or colluding with others. You like your own company. Full permission to pursue that this week and stay in, read, rest, watch rubbish, cook, potter, meditate, plan, scheme, garden, dance around the lounge, write, lay in, have sex. Aquarius, your card is Five of Wands. See yourself as a heat-seeking missile this week. You are zooming in on hotspots, places of tension, stress, conflict, or blockage, not to add fuel to the fire, but to identify the root cause issue of the noise and to consider ways of resolving it at that level. You might not get a 100% hit rate of success, but you will tackle more than you think and make your realm a happier place. All credit to you. People will remember your good work, and you'll be building good karma points too. And lastly, Pisces. Your card is Seven of Wands. You are a tougher cookie than the typical zodiac schools of thought give you credit for. You have enormous intuition, understanding, and wisdom. You can work people out easily. You can outwit most. You can find a reason to believe that gives you fortitude and resilience when others would quit. Find that in yourself this week. The reason to believe, the goal you are driven towards, the thing you feel compelled to do. And that is what is in store for you this week and your associated tarot card. May it bring you great happiness, and I know what none of this means. It's later with Mo Kelly, the weekend box office when we come back. KFI AM 640, it's later with Mo Kelly. We're live on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, iHeartRadio app, all over social media. And now let's check in with what happened over the weekend. I don't get it. Tuala said he loved the movie How to Train Your Dragon. Still number one for the second week. It brought in another 36 million domestically. Worldwide, it's at 360 million. Last week, I was making a point, and I can still make it again. This is a very healthy summer so far for box office, for movie theaters. Strong performances by movies, which are staying in theaters. People are seeing the movies multiple times. And overall, it's off to a great start. We're still in June. 28 years later, you heard the Ronner report and Mark Ronner detail. It was not. Is it fair to say it wasn't great, but it was better than the 28 weeks later?
It was definitely better than 28 weeks later, and I liked it a lot. And I think it's going to be on the list of the year's best horror films.
It brought in 60 million worldwide this week, so that's not a bad start.
No, not at all. It's going to be around for a while. I'm hearing a lot from horror people and normal human beings that they really enjoyed it.
The budget was only 75 million, so it will eclipse that this week. And as always, horror movies by and large do well. They don't cost a lot to make, but they have a pretty good shelf life. Now, Elio, I really didn't have any desire to see. It's a Pixar feature, but this one seems to have underperformed. It was only, when I say only, usually a Pixar movie will be in more than 4,000 theaters. This was only in 3,700 theaters. Did not see a lot of promos for it. Did not see the trailer as much for it. Only brought in $35 million worldwide. And I have to assume with a Pixar movie, that's probably well under expectations. But, I think I see most Pixar movies, unlike Mark Ronner, because, he's an adult, or that's what he claims. But Elio, its budget is set at $150 million. For $35 million out the gate, that's not a good omen at all for that movie.
It's the lowest opening ever for a Pixar movie.
There you go. That quantifies it and qualifies it. Coming in number 4 was Lilo and Stitch in its 5th week, still in the top 5. It brought in $9 million this week. Overall, it's at $911 million worldwide. It's trying to make it to $1 billion, and that would be an incredible, incredible haul for that movie, given it did not have those types of expectations. Coming in 5th this week, Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning. We have another story we're going to talk about with Tom Cruise next segment, but it's still doing well. It brought in another $6.4 million to come in 5th this week, and it's grossed more than $500 million worldwide. It's $540 million at this point. So if this is going to be the true end of the Mission Impossible series, it's doing very well. I can't remember all the other budgets and also returns for the other Mission Impossible movies, but I know this is the best one probably in a long time. And did you know it's the 20th anniversary of Brokeback Mountain?
How will you be celebrating this, Mo?
It came in number 14 this week.
Yeah.
It's been re-released in theaters. I did not know that.
For Pride Month, I'm guessing.
Probably.
Yeah.
I think that's a fair assumption.
Yeah.
No
that's
joke.
random,
Yeah.
but yeah.
20th anniversary, but yeah, it does make sense. And that's basically the big takeaways from the top 10. There are other movies like The Phoenician Scheme, which is in its 4th week. It's still hanging around, brought in $32 million. I don't care really to see it. But the movies overall are still doing pretty darn well. In fact, coming in 9th this week is the Final Destination Bloodlines. Talk about horror. It's grossed $280 million worldwide.
Oh, that guarantees we're going to get more of that crap.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And speaking of horror, Sinners finally dropped out of the top 10 this week, but it's also in its 10th week in theaters, which is a great harbinger when you get a movie to stay in theaters 10 weeks, and it's $364 million. It's been a very, very, very healthy movie season since maybe April. And if you're rooting for movie theaters, you want to see those types of numbers.
And to your point, Mo, it's also a good, I don't know which side it's good and bad for, but that's Sinners was one of the few movies that I haven't seen available on for streaming yet. I think I just maybe saw it last night, but normally after 2-3 weeks, you're already oh, you can start streaming.
Yeah. We're 10 weeks in. That means people are going to see it multiple times. People are going to see it not on the weekend, but during the week. And also, and we were commenting about how nice the traffic was driving in. We're at that point where everyone's out of school.
Yep. I noticed that today too.
So it's this is the best time of year for the next 3 months.
And then you forget, and then you're like, why is the traffic so bad today? Oh, it's August or September.
People start trickling back.
Yeah.
It's different now because with this year-round schooling and the different school districts, they're on different tracks. They're never really all out of school at the same time. You'll have some kids who'll be going back to school in August, some even in July, depending on the school district. But it's nice to be able to drive in this time of year and not deal with the fullness of traffic. But that also means you'll have more crumb snatchers at the movies, Mark, so you'll have to stay away probably going forward.
Well, just following up on Sinners, good on Ryan Coogler, the director of that. He says he's not going to do a sequel no matter how much money it makes.
Thank you Ryan Coogler.
Seriously.
Yeah. Could he make goo gobs of money? Of course.
You don't
Of
always
course.
have to go back to the well. This is really good news from somebody who seems like an actual artist.
And I heard that he's not even going to do a prequel/sequel either. It's just going to be a standalone. It was that story and it's done. And that's something I appreciate about filmmakers like a Christopher Nolan. I'll put Ryan Coogler in that, where they have these ideas, these event movie ideas that they're creating on their own, which are not sequel dependent. You can say what you want about Inception, but he did it and he walked away. You can say what you want about Interstellar. He did it and walked away. That's really rare these days because most of these directors want to have something they can sequelize.
Yeah, the bulk of the movie market is now remakes and sequels. And if you want to know why more people aren't going to the movies, it's because they're just bored with that.
Can't disagree with it. But I do like a good sequel every now and then. Don't get me wrong. I don't like reboots. I do like sequels because there are some characters I want to catch up with. There are some worlds I wouldn't mind revisiting. But reboots, not so much. Not so much. I don't want to see the same story just updated a certain way, which I already am familiar with. Like, there was no need to do a Total Recall reboot.
You know, I'm not sure I even bothered with that one, even when it was free to stream, because what's the point?
It's not even in the true tradition of Philip K. Dick, which was the underlying story for it. I thought the 1990 version with Arnold Schwarzenegger was a much better telling of that story than the one with Colin Farrell.
I couldn't see any reason to watch it, and just try making new stuff.
Yeah.
This is the problem because the budgets are so huge. They want a more sure return on their investment. Spend less money on the movie so you can take some risks.
From your lips to God's ears. That's how.
Oh, thank you for
Yeah,
finishing
okay,
that.
yeah.
I
thought
wasn't sure
knew
where
that.
you were
I
going to
thought-
take it.
Carnation, you knew what I was saying, right?
Now you know I didn't know what you was talking about.
Oh gosh,
Never heard that?
You know I don't know.
Stephanie, you've heard that, right?
I knew exactly where you.
Thank you. From your lips to God's ears. Like, hopefully that happens.
Well, I thought you were going to turn it into some grotesque insult. and
no.
He's not you.
I
Mark.
thought it was a movie line.
Okay.
Gosh, you think so less of me. I don't understand how we got here. Am I really that bad? Gosh, I would insult Mark, but I wouldn't insult Mark and Carnation. Come on now. KFI AM 640. We're live everywhere in the iHeartRadio app. When we come back, we're going to talk about some Tom Cruise movies, which are getting a second look given his latest Oscar talk. You know, they're looking at his career again and realizing he's not a bad actor after all. And a few weeks ago, we were talking about Tom Cruise, and I was making the case that he should be considered for one of the top 4 categories. I'm talking about Best Actor, Oscar. And some people laughed me off. It's just like, no, he's a stunt guy. He's not a great actor. And I would say, like, wait a minute, slow down. Slow down. He actually was a very good actor, and now he's done more stunts than anyone. But I thought that stunts should be considered as part of his acting performance because he's in character. It's one thing when you have a stunt double doing all of your work. Yeah, then that's separate from what you're doing. But if you're climbing on that plane as it takes off and you're saying lines as the plane takes off, I think that should be given more consideration because that is part of your actual performance of being a secret agent. You know, that you're doing far more than someone who's just memorizing lines and blocking. I have noticed, and maybe it's confirmation bias, I'll be the first one to say that, but I have noticed more and more stories about Tom Cruise, not only the story about him getting an honorary Oscar for the totality of his career at the next Oscars, but more and more people are talking out loud about actively considering Tom Cruise for a Best Acting Oscar. In other words, they would enter him and maybe he could be in the top 5 or top 10, however many, and get a nomination. I don't think that's out of the question. And we were talking about the hashtag Oscar for Tom Cruise or Tom Cruise for Oscar, however you want to do it. And I think that there is gathering momentum for Tom Cruise to get that consideration. And when I come across a story like this on KTLA, 5 times Tom Cruise deserved an Oscar win, that says to me that it's not just me talking about it. There are more people who are thinking about Tom Cruise within those acting terms. And if you have been a Tom Cruise fan as long as I have, and you've seen his earlier roles, you know how talented he is as an actor. I remember the first time I saw Tom Cruise. It was a movie called Taps with Timothy Hutton. I think it was maybe Kiefer Sutherland, but Tom Cruise, he had a smaller role in it, and it's about these teenagers who are working at a military academy, and they take over the military academy because they were going to close it down. Highly underrated. It's a classic, and the more I talk about it right now, it reminds me I need to go back and rewatch it. You get to see a super young Tom Cruise in that.
You like him in that Vampire Fancy Boys movie?
That's the only one I actually did not like. Interview with the Vampire. I hated that movie.
Really?
Yeah, I did not like it at all. And maybe because I'm not really particular or partial to vampire movies, I thought it was just a little bit over the top.
He was in that one?
Yeah, it was him and Brad Pitt.
I just know it's Brad Pitt and I thought Leo DiCaprio. Never mind.
Yep. Yeah. So Taps was the movie that I saw. I think it was like 1983. And it starred Tom Cruise, Timothy Hutton, Sean Penn, George C. Scott, Ronnie Cox from Beverly Hills Cop 2, and one Giancarlo Esposito. I forgot he was in that. He was very young and at the beginning of his career.
He paid his dues. He's been around a long time.
Yeah, he's not one of those overnight sensations. But very quickly, like if you go back and review the pre-stunt Tom Cruise, you realize that he's done some very stellar work. Magnolia, that was a good one. Obviously, we know A Few Good Men. That's one I think he should have been nominated for Best Supporting Actor. And it's been shown a lot lately. I've noticed I keep finding it on TNT. It's being played. And if you go back and watch that interplay between Tom Cruise and Demi Moore, he does a spot-on impression of Jack Nicholson in it. It is hilarious. You get to see that this dude is actually pretty talented as an actor.
I think A Few Good Men is turning into the Shawshank of movies that whenever it's on, you just kind of sit there and get wrapped up in it.
Oh, good. It's not just me, too, because I know it's coming, and I want to see that damn monologue court scene between Tom Cruise and Jack Nicholson. I want to see all of it.
Yeah.
Because the way Jack Nicholson just reads everybody in the courtroom is just fantastic. I don't know if they'll actually, in that movie, I don't know if you'll find any better Jack Nicholson as far as a particular scene. Now, there are better movies with Jack Nicholson, but I don't know if you'll see a better scene with Jack Nicholson.
He's a terrific heel in that movie.
Oh, he's great. Either way, I don't give a damn what you think you're entitled to. I'm sorry, I just had to do that. Vanilla Sky was another good Tom Cruise acting movie. And these are movies that I think you should watch just because if you're a fan of movies. In fact, if you're paying attention right now, they might end up and name that movie called Classic at the end of the week. Hint, hint, hint. Just wanted to let you know that.
Have you reached out to Tom Cruise's people about appearing on the show?
No, I'm warming them up right now.
So you're just focused entirely on Eddie Murphy.
I'm focused on buttering up the Tom Cruise folks. It got to take time, okay? You just can't just reach out there. You have to make sure that people listen to the show and word of mouth gets back to the Cruise people.
Ah, so you're being strategic.
Yes,
of
I
course.
am.
Okay.
I'm employing George Bush strategery.
Yes, strategery and putting food on your family.
Born on the 4th of July, obviously. This is probably one of his best performances. I believe that he was underappreciated in it. And people forget that he is a fantastic actor. But when he was playing Ron Kovic, maybe because he was overshadowed by just being in an Oliver Stone movie, or maybe people did not take him seriously. But if you may remember, the best Oscar went to Daniel Day-Lewis for My Left Foot. I just I don't understand how that happened that year. And that was the problem with the Oscars, because they oftentimes don't have a real sense of the movies which have broken through and have a lasting impact in cinema history. Born on the 4th of July, absolutely. My Left Foot, nobody cares about. Not then or now.
Well, there's a politically incorrect way that I will not get into to describe how people figured that voting went in the Academy over decades.
Yeah. Hey, Stefan, I'd be real appreciative if you can just find that Jack Nicholson.
The clip?
Yeah, Few Good Men, that last passage real quick. But no, to answer your question, and also Jerry Maguire. That's another one where people keep overlooking Tom Cruise as an actor, when if you go back and just watch his performances in his movies, he is always undersold, but is a talented actor who has never had to rely on stunts. He's done stunts, but he's never had to rely. And when you go back to The Firm, when he's opposite Gene Hackman, gave a great performance in that. He just didn't get the credit. Nick Cannon is someone that I've had an issue with. I don't know him personally. I don't think we've ever met, actually, but I have an issue with how he carries himself and the idea of having some 12 kids and how cavalier he is about having 12 kids and possibly wanting to have more. And I was talking about earlier in the show about every time I open up this mic and everything I do, I'm very conscious of what I put out there. Either I can confirm or debunk a stereotype. I'm very, very particular about that. So when you see me, you will never see me without a belt. My pants are not going to be sagging. You know, you're not going to see me engage in behavior which is going to be indicative of any type of stereotype. That's never, not at all, because I know that people will make their judgments on what they see from people who are working in the public eye. Do I have a profile of Nick Cannon? Absolutely not. But I do know, being on KFI, some people will take their cues as far as African Americans and who we are by things I say, what we do, is because I am an entry point, and I'm a firm believer of being an ambassador everywhere I go. So if you see me in a KFI event, I'm always dressed, always, because that's the way I'm going to present myself. When I leave the house, I always have an undershirt on. If you're looking at YouTube, you can see it right now. This is something that was instilled with me very young. I always have a belt. I'm always presentable. 99 times out of 100, you're only going to see me in a collared shirt. I don't do the T-shirt thing when I'm at work. That's how I present myself. And I say that to say Nick Cannon is none of those things. None of them. And each time I come across a moment in which he can't even name all 12 of his children, it reminds me, and hopefully it reminds anyone else who may idolize or admire him, that fatherhood is not about being able to only financially provide for a child. Fatherhood is about being present. My father was ever present. He was there to help me with my homework. He was there as the flag football coach, the basketball coach. He was there pitching me baseballs in the backyard. He was there teaching me music. He was there to counsel me. He was there to chasten me and also financially provide. Nick Cannon, he may be very wealthy and he may be able to financially provide for his many children, but he obviously can't be there for them. And if you struggle to remember the names of all your children, then clearly you're not being a provider in the emotional sense. You're not being present. There are not enough hours in a day for him to do his jobs, bring home the bacon, as they say, and also spend time with his many children, which vary in age ranges. And I think that you're cheating your children. You're robbing them of the opportunity to have a particular personal relationship with their own father. And someone who has had a father who passed on, and very, very appreciative of our relationship, I can say firsthand, I know what it's like to have a good father and how important it is to have a father in a child's life. This is Nick Cannon over the weekend on the Bobby Althos, the Really Good podcast. And of course, whenever he goes on a podcast, 9 times out of 10, they will ask him, can you name all 12 of your children? So if Nick Cannon wasn't good at it 5 months ago, he should be good at it now, you would think, because he gets the same damn question over and over again. Well, this was this past weekend. Let's see how it turned out.
What are their names?
I just told you.
You told me one.
Oh, you want all 12?
12 names. Go.
All right. This is where I usually get in trouble.
Why? Because you don't know all of them.
I know all of them,
Okay.
but like when you're labeled, like can you label or
Yeah, I
just
can
rattle
name-
off 12 of anything?
Yeah.
Can you name
Colors.
12 states right now?
They're not like what's something personal to me that
Okay,
I
can you see exactly? Okay, name 12. What do you have 12 of? Can
I
you
have
you have 12
12.
tattoos?
I don't even have 12 tattoos. You have more kids than I have tattoos.
Exactly. All right, well, here we go. I'll label it off for you. See, let's keep me honest. There's rock, roll, golden, powerful, rise, onyx, legendary, Zion, zillion, zen, and see, this is where
It's a damn shame.
how many of y'all got?
You're missing 2.
I'm missing 2. And then I would say, oh yeah, did I say beautiful? Did I say, there's beautiful, and then there would be Halo, my youngest.
There you go. You almost had it. I feel like
Almost did it.
To be so cavalier, almost did it. Yeah, I don't know what to say. And Nick Cannon is doing all the things that I wish he would not do. And I'm trying to do something so people don't look at specifically African-American men in a certain way.
Do you think Elon Musk can name all of his bizarrely
he
named
can't.
children?
But thank you for making that point. Unfortunately, the same social stigma is not going to be attached to Elon Musk.
He's held to a different standard.
You're right.
And even though his kids are Nevada, Vivian, Griffin, Kai, Saxon, Damien, and here's where they get funny, XAEA12.
That's the one I remember.
You can't even pronounce them.
No, XAEA12. That's a child abuse lawsuit waiting to happen right there. Exa, Strider,
Yeah.
Azure, Techno. He named a kid Techno.
Wow.
Arcadia, Selden Lycurgus, and Romulus.
And we know that Elon Musk is a very busy man himself. Between SpaceX and Tesla, I don't know how much time he spends with his children.
Or generating them.
Right. I don't know. I don't know if it's a turkey baster or he's actually present for the actual act. I don't know. But I do know he's not brought up in the same conversation or is frequently in conversation about how many children he has or perceived the same way as a Nick Cannon. And I think they should be perceived the same way because the what I would call negligence and the arrogance are the same in that regard. You heard Nick Cannon, how it's not a big deal. He doesn't take it seriously. And that's something I would take very seriously. But to answer your point, Mark, and it's a great one, the same social stigma is not attached. I can't say it's not fair, but I always say it may not be fair, but it's a fact. I just need Nick Cannon to do better. Not for me, because other people will look at him and ascribe what he does to other people who look like him. And we could do better than that. KFI AM 640, want to check in with George Norrie in just a moment, find out what he's going to be talking about, and also have my final thought. And it's connected to the events of today, what has happened with the supposed ceasefire. There are conflicting reports, so I'm going to have to navigate that with incomplete information. But I will say this. I don't know why we, and I mean we as a country, are always in a rush. We didn't get here overnight in regard to Iran, and the final result won't be revealed today, this week, or this year. As of this moment, there is supposedly a ceasefire, only announced by President Trump and neither confirmed by Israel nor Iran. And there have been some conflicting reports of even other missiles fired. So we're going to just take it for what it's worth. And let's say, for the sake of argument, there is a ceasefire in place. A ceasefire is always tenuous and delicate. Iran may not break it, but one of its proxies, like Hamas, may not honor it, or Hezbollah. Foreign policy, though, by social media is not a thing. It really isn't. And negotiations, true negotiations, take time, often months. Last week, our president was demanding, quote unquote, unconditional surrender. Today, he literally said, quote, God bless Iran, close quote. That's a wild swing of the pendulum, meaning all this could change at a moment's notice for something that has been baking since 1979. We keep hearing that date, 1979. President Trump has said that Iran's nuclear capabilities have been, quote, obliterated. Historically, that isn't how missile strikes or attacks work. But let's say that's true. There's nothing left to negotiate, threat neutralized, one would think. Don't be surprised, though, if we found out later that Iran actually didn't keep all of its fissile material in one place, or that they might have moved it. It'd be pretty dumb to keep it all in one place, right? So I think I'm willing to believe that it might have been moved because everybody knew it was a target, and there's no need then to rush and declare victory. I always try to err on the side of caution. There's no microwave version of baking this cake. Israel, as it stands, wants Iran to forego all nuclear enrichment capabilities going forward. Do you think this regime will go for that? I don't think so. To my last point, why would Iran need to agree to that if it in fact has been obliterated? I'm just asking questions because Rome wasn't built in a day, and Iran's hatred for Israel and the U.S. did not end in a day. But if there's going to be some modern agreement, Iran has to get something if they're going to give up some measure of everything. Whatever that is, they need to get something. Again, this is all assuming the other bad actors in the region don't interfere. This is assuming Iran wants peace with Israel. That's a big assumption. And Israel wants peace with Iran. Another big assumption. Iran doesn't go from wanting to annihilate Israel on Thursday to willing to negotiate in good faith on Monday. I know. Call me Debbie Downer, but I remember the Israel/Egypt peace treaty of 1979. There's that year again, 1979. Egypt and Israel signed a treaty to normalize relations, making Egypt the first Middle Eastern country to recognize Israel. And according to some historians, gave momentum to the coming Iranian revolution later that year, 1979. The same revolution which led to the Muslim theocratic state we're dealing with today. All of that was a form of blowback. All of this is very complex and is not something a post on social media can dictate. The Muslim nations today largely considered the treaty a stab in the back to them by allowing more interference from the U.S. and support of Israel. Sounds like the past is happening again. Sounds like history is repeating itself. Well, because of that treaty, we've been dealing with the instability and hostility ever since. After a Middle East peace treaty, all of this was set into motion. Al-Qaeda rose out of our involvement in Kuwait in 91. That didn't come back around until 9/11. We went into Afghanistan in 2001. The Taliban was in control then. We left in 2021. Say it with me. The Taliban is still in control there. Is Afghanistan any better today after the Afghanistan peace agreement of 2020? I can't find a lot of believers. The point is, peace is always a noble goal, but the unintended consequences are always there. Forced regime change isn't often the magic pill many think it is. And beyond getting to the actual agreement, all sides have to actually honor it. That means not pulling out of it 3 years later like we did with the JCPOA, the Iran deal. That means not tearing up NAFTA, renegotiating it, and then tearing it up again. America's word has to mean something too, or the other parties have no reason to negotiate in good faith or even honor the deal after the fact. So stop being in such a rush to declare victory when it comes to the Middle East. It may not be even before the end of the Trump presidency will we get a real sense of whether this moment means something, means nothing, or means everything. Because whatever happens between the U.S., Israel, and Iran will still have a ripple effect throughout the Middle East. And that will be beyond the control of what any president posts on social media.